So my topic today is measuring value added in agile development and continuous delivery. Like Paula said, today everyone uses agile. And so it seems to be. And also continuous delivery has been around at least 15 years already. So we always receive new versions of important software that we are using. Not when we are asking those new features, but whenever the supplier wants to give us. Okay, I start with a short dialogue between a measurement expert and a CIO or Chief Digitalization Officer or whatever CXO is. They are usually responsible of acquisition in a customer organization. So when a measurement expert asks, how do you measure value added in your software acquisition? Well, we don't measure it. Do you care about value added? Yes, of course. Do you pay for software development? Yes, we do. How much do you pay? About 200,000 euros per month. What and how much did you get last month against your payments? We don't know. It's impossible to explain. Why is it impossible? Because we don't measure value added, or we don't know how to measure value added. This happens all the time. So when I ask customer representatives that, what did you get last month? They have no idea. They cannot explain it. But they can very often tell how much they paid. So at least one measurement is okay. And why should we care about value of software? Because 20 years ago, no one talked about value of software. And we have been talking about the size of software long time, but still not many organizations are measuring even that. So agile, DevOps, continuous delivery, they are the mainstream nowadays. And value is mentioned almost everywhere in their documents. They are promising value, so value propositions are often connected to epics, stories, user stories, release trains in agile development. And all prioritization and such things are made based on value. So ISO is nowadays collecting agile vocabulary. There is a working group 29 in ISO IEC SC7 dealing with agile and DevOps. And they have collected from other already published standards or draft standards different definitions for agile terms. And there were 46 occurrences of word value when I checked the latest version. And if we talk about whole software product, we can use term value, so value of software. But when we talk about development work during a specified period, then we should focus on value added. And then I picked from the ISO standard some important and interesting definitions. So backlog is a collection of agile features or stories of both functional and non-functional requirements that are typically sorted in an order based on the value priority. So there is the value. Then customer is a stakeholder who will receive value from the delivery of a product or service. Deliverable, it's important in continuous delivery, of course. A specific feature, product or service that is produced by a value stream or one of its stages and is delivered at the value stream's departure point. Just a definition. Epic is a major collection of related feature sets broken down into individual features or user stories and implemented in parts over a longer period of time. Interesting definition. And then feature, it's a functional or non-functional distinguishing characteristic of system. Features are considered to add value for the user. Again, the value. And then definition for user story. Brief description of required functionality, describing the stakeholder roles, goals, benefits, and motivation. I can tell you that I have seen a lot of user stories, not including all of that information. But anyways, and then larger user stories that are at an earlier stage of product backlog are sometimes referred to as epics and or features. So when the definitions already say that you can call anything a feature or user story or epic, that's very confusing. But anyways, these are from ISO draft standard. Scaled agile framework, so-called SAFe, gives three-level hierarchy. So they say that epics can be subdivided into features and features can be subdivided in user stories. I Googled some other definitions from agile world, and this is David Bulkin's terminology, and just following the same hierarchy than also scaled agile framework gives. FISMA has been wandering around these terms, and we very much want to concentrate on features. So we think that epics and user stories are not measurable in any standardized way, but functional features may be. So as the definition say that features are functional or non-functional, we are concentrating on functional features. And we are using FISMA method, which has 28 base functional component types. And features can equal to FISMA base functional component types. It's important that the feature shall be recognizable by a user and the product owner. And so we have those 28 types in our method, and we can perform the measurement as often as needed, every day or after every sprint or once a month or just after the delivery of whole software. Here is a poster showing the 7 areas of functionality or 7 areas of features, and on the left there are the navigation and query features. So those are features from user interface, different screens and other elements that the user can use but cannot change data content in the system. And then there are input features and then non-interactive output features, which means reports or different output forms from the system. So that kind of features are required from a system or from software. Then on the left side down, there are interfaces to other systems, so different integration, messages, for example. And then on the right side, interfaces from other. So our software is receiving data groups from other applications. Then there are data storage services, meaning usually different database tables, entities. And then there are finally algorithmic and manipulation services, so automated manipulation routines in the system. All of those are defined and used by users. Okay, they are just the areas. Then whose valuation matters? We are talking about value, but value for whom? ISO definitions often refer to customer. They say that customer value or value for customer. But customer is very often some decision maker, some CXO in the customer organization. Well, they really need business improvement, so they want to improve the business of their organization. Then there are users. Functional size measurement methods talk about user and user requirements. Users need a tool, and they very often tell their opinion about the new tool. They may hate the new tool. Always the old tool was so much better. It has never been as good as it's now when it will be replaced by another tool. So we can read stories about users hating their new tools, and sometimes they like, and probably they love their new tools. That kind of things also happen. And then the developers. Developers are prioritizing features and they are providing the features to systems. So there is some UI, UX expert designing new screens and some people programming those. So developers provide the features. Then we can find 3 different types of value of software. And the first one is the functional value of software. So the more features, the more functional value. And only needed functions with high enough quality count, they count. So high enough quality. Quality must be included and also connected to functions or features. And then there is the emotional value of software. It's the user satisfaction, it's qualitative metrics, and questionnaire results can tell about the emotional value. How do the users like? So they are opinions of the users, but they are important. Also, the customer may have a safe and secure feeling when they are now using this new system or new software. Then there is the business value. So what was the impact of using this software compared to alternative solutions? It may occur in terms of saved effort or saved money or avoided problems. Also new business opportunities, new type of services to be sold. So all these three types matter. We should always think about all these three. But if the functional value added is very low or equals to 0, it's quite difficult to see that emotional and or business values could be added at all. So if the users don't like software, the business value might be questionable because the users try to avoid doing their job. And then how and when to measure. So functional value added can be measured in function points, only standard way to do it. And then it can be measured as frequently as wanted, and the more often the easier, because there is less functional value added, then it's easier and faster to measure. And we don't just tell that this was 17 function points. We have to tell also the list of features, show that which features are new in this release. Then the emotional value added can be evaluated by user satisfaction. We can do that also quite often, showing that these three new user interface components are delivered now and that you have been using those 1 month. What do you think about those? So, but it cannot be measured every day, or makes no sense usually to measure every day that do you like your software more today than yesterday. Then business value added, very often the promises, the value propositions are telling about value added, but they are talking about so big business changes that those cannot be measured very quickly after a sprint or after the delivery. So much fewer times. Here is a definition from one Texas University paper. So they defined value added as number of defect-free function points added to a software application. And function point is the measurement unit then. So I think that defect-free is quite a hard requirement. So FISMA definition for this is that its value added is the amount of functionality with required quality added to a software application during a specified period. And in practice, when we do this measurement, then we are usually using a measurement expert, scope manager, or someone else who can understand the users, the developers, and the customers. So scope manager is getting input from all those three stakeholder groups. Measuring function points, probably asking the user satisfaction, and of course user needs to tell that this is good enough in terms of quality. So here we also, because FISMA method is a standard like 5 other or 4 other ISO methods, they all have quite clear rules how to measure, and those rules must be followed. And here I still have some examples. So this was from one of customer. I collect this kind of table. So here is the date when I measured, and then we can see here from this table that the iteration was 1.5 months, and the cost was 66,000 euros, and the functional value was 330 function points. We have thousands of this kind of measurements. They may be shorter or longer terms, and in this table you can see that all these cases are actually from real life, but not only telling the size, but also showing that so the green parts in the right figure are the new value added. So we tell the name of the feature, and for example, the first one, green, means that the feature is now ready for testing. And well, there may be better ways to illustrate achieved value. And I have had presentations in IT confidence conferences before about the triangle benchmarking. So we measure cost, time, and scope, meaning the value. And its scope is always functionality with required quality. And when we measure these 3 things, we can always tell the delivery speed and also the unit price, which means cost efficiency. And from all sprints that I have been measuring, all iterations that I have been measuring, I can draw a triangle. And we can see here that what is a government typical, you get 500 function points in 10 months with 300,000 euros. You can get same 500 function points with only in 5 months, but pay more. Sometimes you get twice as much functionality or value, but pay only half of that, and it only takes 5 months. And then there are these shit happens pancakes that don't look very good, but those happen very often. And you can do that as often as you want. So it's also fully scalable because we are using same parameters in this drawing. And so the shape tells everything, but also we can use how big the triangle is. And a couple of additional points. Does anyone anywhere ask how much functional value should a team of 5 developers provide in a month? I have never heard anyone asking that. Or if we hire 5 more full-time employees, what's the impact? Has anyone anywhere rewarded an acquisition executive just because of exceptionally good productivity achieved? And what is the value of monitoring budget and schedule in continuous development and delivery? I don't understand that, because we know the budget. There are 10 people working 1 month. We know the budget exactly, and we know the schedule. 1 month takes 1 month. About the functional value added, if it's 0, it's very hard to say the other value. It's like the new clothes of the emperor, that someone sees that, but there are no functional value. So how could it be otherwise very good? Okay, I also have some reasons why the value measurement is so rare. There is no motivation, because why bother if nobody will notice? And then lack of ownership. It's other people's money. 10 million or 100 million is just peanuts. And then lack of measurement skills and no knowledge of available metrics. I have been teaching 35 CIOs. One thought that he knew what is functional size or function point counting, but he actually messed it with some other method. A secret of success in agile development is that short iterations, huge budget, and no value measurement. So then you cannot fail. On the right part of this slide is a team of 22 people hired by an insurance company, public insurance company in Finland, and telling how much they are going to pay, and they come from 5 different companies and so on. So they will hire 22 people, but they don't yet know what they develop. I know what they will pay, and I know how long it will take, but there is no idea what this team is going to develop. Okay. And so what can we do finally? We can teach CXOs to understand main metrics. They don't know what does it mean if someone pays 1,000 euros per function point. And then we should include all 3 types of value added into organization's metric set, pay more attention to users and their emotions, react immediately to poor measurement results. We should reward exceptional speed and cost efficiency. And then there must be a lot of other ideas how to make it better. And okay, thank you. And what Paul Krugman, economist, says that productivity isn't everything, but in the long run, it's almost everything. So thank you.